Hello and welcome. It's so great to be with you today and sharing the life of an amazing soul who has gone through the changes of life and lit his life on fire. We get to learn today about Jim Adams, and that is going to be so fun. So let me tell you a little bit about Jim. This is what I know. He is a mild-mannered Clark Kent kind of guy, but underneath there is this adventurous dude that we're going to get to know more about today and his life journey. Let me tell you a little bit. Look at this. He does obstacle courses and wants the muddiest, scariest one. So we're going to find out why, what in Jim made that happen. And then also he was 100% travel consultant. At one season of his life, he was working for corporate America and decided to launch out on his own and help people just like us. So we're going to find out, where did that courage come from? Or maybe life just put him in that place. So thank you so much for joining us today, Jim. I can't wait to have this conversation. You're such an amazing soul. And I always love all of the conversations we get to share together.
Yes, I have so enjoyed getting to know you over the last few months here. I look back to my calendar. I think we first had our first conversation one-on-one back in May, and I just always look forward to it. So I've just been, looking forward to this very much as just maybe a more focused, intentional conversation.
Yes.
Just really, really excited to be here and share with you guys this morning.
Thank you so much. And so take us first. There's this place in our lives where we start out, right? We start out, we go on a path and we think it's going to lead us to those results. And yet there can be this part inside of our soul that's saying, hey, there's more. There's more to life. And it like dribbles or sprinkles these longings and discontents inside of ourselves. So you were a consultant at one point, and that led you to a 100% travel schedule. Take us back to that place in Jim's life.
With the 100% travel consulting, yeah. So that was like such an amazing adventure. Like even to begin with, I was so excited that they even considered me because I had just been a salesman. I had some interesting experiences as a military officer in the artillery. Traveled around the world.
Thank you for serving. And
Yes, thank you very much. It was my privilege. So anyway, I got to do some pretty cool stuff and lead some wonderful soldiers and be really, really challenged.
Mhm.
And so I remember the gentleman's name, Jack Giles. He was a colonel, um, a tank colonel in the Army. And so he assured me when I talked to him about my sales experience, that my leadership experience would be all that I would need, and I could pick the rest of it up along the way. And so just because I was just used to, having to be very, very observant and dealing with, challenging conversations and setting standards and things like that you find in a challenging leadership environment.
Right.
And so I was able to apply that very early on. It took me, an assignment or two to get my legs underneath of me. And then, I clearly remember this, one first assignment. I was just in the middle of nowhere in Tennessee, like literally smack dab in the middle between the two major airports. I think it's Memphis on one side and Knoxville on the other. It was just smack dab in the middle. There was like one little diner in town, one little dingy motel that we stayed at. And
aren't those fun? Those dingy motels. Like I've done that, and you just wonder, oh my God, like what am I going to see on the inside of this room? Anyway.
Well, those were different times back then, when smoking was more of a thing, we just weren't as, sensitive smell wise. And so, anyway, different times. Like my project manager was a big smoker. I started smoking again on that job. Anyway, different story for a different day. Thank God I'm smoke free today.
Good job.
So, so anyway, it's a pole mill of all things. Like I had no idea there even was such a thing. The
pole mill?
the guardrails that are on the side of the highway, those metal guardrails,
right?
They have poles that go down into the ground.
Totally.
And depending upon the state, to Tennessee or Ohio or whatever, they have different specifications. And so this mill took pine logs and different material logs and turned them into poles, or just plain old farmer fence poles. So they made different diameter poles out of different diameter logs, and that's what they did.
Yeah.
But what I found was it didn't really matter what the industry was. I could just dig into numbers. talk to people, look around, occasionally, check times on things.
Yeah.
And so in just, like the first couple of days, I was a really young guy at that time. I was like 39. These old timers running this pole mill, you could tell when they first met me, they were, they didn't think much about college boys. And I definitely
who is this guy, right?
yeah, really, like I definitely had that just college boy vibe going on,
Yeah.
the suit and tie and black shoes and all that. And so here I am jumping from semi dry, less muddy spot to the other, trying not to get ankle deep in mud.
Oh my
Which
God.
I think I was successful. I had a little bit of mud splashed up on
Hey,
my
you're a
pants.
strategist. You knew how to do it.
Yeah, yeah, so I had to clean my shoes off every night because they'd be all muddy. But anyway, I was able to just watch a little bit, and again, I knew the numbers and I knew how everything worked, and come up with a recommendation that was, it was been a long time. I don't know what the exact numbers were, but it was six figures. And that was just by simply just two little things, moving some things around. And then they were milling these smaller diameter poles that was costing them money. So anyway, just right out of the gate, I went to a deli in Boca Raton, Florida, of all places, and worked there for 3 or 4 weeks in a restaurant. I was able to help that gentleman a great deal with his cash flow. So those were just a couple of experiences early on. And so I was able to take off relatively quickly with really not a lot more aptitude, not a lot of like hard executive experience.
Yeah. Have you always been passionate and interested in the numbers behind the scenes for business?
So that was something that I discovered in the consulting field. So I was a math major for a while in college. I didn't like going to class.
I like that.
So I had to
Hold on
switch.
a second. Hold on a second. I was a math major for a while in college.
Yes, I'm getting ready to explain. So one of the things about being a math major is, so I'm not, the brilliant mind guy, what's his name? John Nash. So I'm not that guy. Like I needed to go to class to pass these classes. So I had a hard time going to class back then. So I had to switch to political science to graduate, but I did get exposed to a lot of high level math. I didn't flunk all the courses. When I went to class, I did really well. And I really liked it. It was kind of, I was going to say fun. I don't know about fun, but liked it more than most people. It wasn't terribly difficult for me. So if you look at accounting and business math, it's actually relatively easy. But the cool thing about the math background, there's a class that I took called Calculus of Several Variables. And so that's kind of what carried over for me is you're dealing with in business problem solving. You're walking into scenarios where you're trying to solve problems with all of these different variables. And it's not just X, Y, and Z like in math. It's X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, right? There's all these different dynamics.
And the interminglings can change from
you got numbers. Yeah, but you got people and you got psychology and you've got leadership and you've got weather, you got all these different variables and it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot to keep up with. So I was just able to sort through some of that. And then after a while, I kind of developed, with the help of some of the training I had, I developed more of a process that I was able to repeat over and over and over again in each job I went on to consistently help my clients.
That's beautiful. So what had you jump from that was more of a corporate job, somebody else is paying your paycheck there.
Right.
And, there's a number of our audience, our followers here that listen to this awesome podcast that may currently be in that and they have this longing and discontent and maybe a seed for something new. What had you jump from that, maybe a little bit more safe environment for income to starting your own gig?
Yeah, so there was an intermediate step in there before I started starting the Jim Adams Consulting, and that is American Landscape Structures.
Okay.
So I got exposed in the consulting business to this Amish community, this Amish woodworking community. And so back in 2013, I started American Landscape Structures. And so that's what's been paying the bills since then. And so I used a lot of the different tools and tactics and different things, along the way to build that business. Another thing that I did is I experienced some of the same difficulties and frustrations and made some of the same stupid mistakes that my clients used to make.
Oh,
Like for example, making a bunch of money and going out and spending it. I try a bunch of stuff, which I think that's good. But
mhm.
sometimes if
As
you
long as you
spend
learn
too,
from it, right? As long as you
well,
learn from
yeah,
what we
but
try.
I've paid some pretty expensive tuition and I survived, right? I
Good
survived,
job.
but yeah, but it's not guaranteed, as you very well know.
Hmm.
The failure rate in small business is very, very high.
Right.
I don't want to waste a lot of time going through all the numbers, but
The
it
people that
ends up,
survive are strong. Yes.
yeah, strong. Well, and you got to be a little lucky too. I mean, there's just so many different
Get in the
ways.
right market.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many different, pitfalls along the way, and then, getting a break here and there.
Hmm.
So, like in my case, 2019, we looked very, very hard at the numbers. We wanted to do better. 2019 was kind of a tough year. And
Right.
so from the amount of traffic to our lead conversion rate, the amount of traffic that's turning into leads, to the number of leads that are turning into sales, to the dollar value of sale. So we identified there a couple of major opportunities, and that was the conversion rate on the site. So we focus really heavily on landing pages, and then also the sales conversion rate. So we invested a ton of time in upgrading our sales conversation,
Hmm.
and that just paid off in a big way. So
So
anyway, I know I'm.
with that as a pause,
Mhm.
so you started your own business. So it did at one point take some courage to say, I'm leaving the nest of a corporate job and I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to feed that entrepreneurial spirit. And what I heard is that the Amish community enlightened you or gave you some insight in the possibility. And I know that ALS, the American Landscape Structures, is a pavilion, gazebo, and pergola. How do I say that? Did I say that right?
You
Yeah,
got it.
I got it. I'd never even known what that was. I've learned it from you. It's awesome. Cool. I've seen them. Now I know what they're called. And so you went into that business. Was it because you saw the numbers of the possibility of that business? Because some people, I mean, like, really, let's take a pause. Some people find, I'm going to go do this business because I love doing it, or I want to be that because somebody's shown me that I could be that. But there are some entrepreneurs that look at the profit margins, they'll look at the numbers, they'll look at the possibility, the marketing, the market potential, right, for a business, and choose that. What was that seed of energy for you to jump into the pavilion business?
So it was a couple of things. One is woodworking. I've been around woodworking. I'm not like a great woodworker. That's not me. But first of all, I love seeing how stuff is made, right? I've
Yeah.
been in a lot of factories and plants in my time, and I just absolutely love that. So just being a part of the process and being able to have a solution for people, it's a pretty big challenge to just start from scratch to end up with a pavilion in your backyard. So to have a better solution where, we've already thought through everything for it, you're not
Mhm.
reinventing the wheel. I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then
A
the other
method.
side of it,
Mhm.
there's, more than two sides, but the main other side was the numbers. And so I knew there was somebody else doing this online, that I knew they were doing it and spending money on Google Ads.
Mhm.
And so I had done Google Ad tests in the past and had some knowledge. I got a lot of knowledge on internet marketing working in my wife's business. I knew how to sell on the phone.
Mhm.
Okay. So I had some of the things I had sold on the phone before. And so I had some of the things in place. And so, yes, I was able to put together a business model that said, but it wasn't like I had to jump in with both feet. I could, spend a little bit this month, basically put 15 grand on my Amex
Mhm.
to
Good job.
get started on
Like
Google,
that.
and
I
then
love that
and
mindset.
and then we filled the funnel with sales, and before we knew it, we were off and making money.
It's amazing. I love it. The opportunity came your way and you took advantage of it. And it sounds like with an open mind and definitely the numbers. That's what we're talking about today is these numbers are showing us which way to go with our business. Now, how many, just if you were to, figure, how many entrepreneurs do you believe actually have a good handle on the numbers that they need to look at on a daily, weekly, monthly, annually basis for their business? How many do you think out there know what to look for?
Yeah, so
Percentage.
I'd say it's a relatively small percentage, maybe 10%. So highly successful businesses like know this going in. Maybe
Very
they
good.
have a business degree, although that's no guarantee. You know that very well. We'll
Mm-hmm.
talk about that in a minute, I'm sure. A business degree is no guarantee for anything because they don't teach you the skills that you need to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
Um, and
Not
so
many
it's,
do. Yeah.
yeah. And so I've asked around, and the people that I've met, the clients that I've met, definitely. So that's one of the reasons why, if you look at my website and what I focus on is numbers. So, I mean, I know sales, or I wouldn't be selling $2 million a year worth of pavilions. And I sold
Right.
most of those. I know operations, I could run a wood shop if I had to. I don't have to. I've got somebody else that does that. But I chose numbers because I saw the biggest. It's just really so challenging to know as an entrepreneur how to use your numbers. Depending upon what kind of business that you have, traditional financial statements really truly don't serve you very well.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a financial staff to keep up with doing all the accruals properly. If you even know what the word accrual means,
Right.
it means aligning, just a short answer, it means aligning your cost of sales with the sale in any given time period. That's a lot more challenging than people think
Mm-hmm.
and realize. With your labor and with your materials, getting that takes expertise and takes time, and most entrepreneurs don't have that time. So they need to have a way to that is within their capability to have numbers that serve them. And so that's one of the things that I do. It might take a year, maybe two, if their financials are all screwed up. It
Right.
might take them a year, maybe two, to get them unscrewed. And even then, the accrual picture is going to be very incomplete.
So let's give some energy to that, because if
Mm-hmm.
I'm an entrepreneur listening to this, knowing, yes, I need to get in touch with my numbers. I know I need to do this, but it's like the ostrich, put your head in the sand and hope it all works
Mm-hmm.
out, right? And the biggest numbers that many entrepreneurs pay attention to is the IRS numbers, because they go, okay,
Mm-hmm.
those people have power over me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're an entrepreneur that has been doing your own books, maybe I know some entrepreneurs using spreadsheets for their books, and they haven't gone into a formal system like a QuickBooks or something like that, and they need to get started. They know they need to get started. However, they're hearing, like, what? It's going to take me like a year to get unstuck in where I am. There are the first steps that we could give them a breath, like give an exhale into their system of, this is where you can start. And the truth is, if we want to be successful business owners, we need to. This isn't a ignored and it's going to fix itself. This is, let's get started now and make your life easier, make your life more effortless. Because what I know, Jim, whenever we look at the numbers and they're rocking and rolling, because that's what happens. If you ignore them, it's going to be arduous. If you ignore them, it's going to be painful. As soon as you get into those numbers and you start loving them and loving what they're showing you, and you get to participate in the growth of your company, it's like game on. It's game on. And so, what are some of the first steps that business owners could look for and say, just start here so you can start feeling that you've got some ground under you whenever it comes to your numbers?
Yes. So absolutely. So like I'm working with somebody right now, and his name's Travis. He's running a shed company,
Mm-hmm.
and he and I working together, we absolutely crushed it while they were working out their financials. And so I can give you a couple of examples, and
I
I can
love
tell you
that. Yes.
specifically the tool that we use.
Let's
You
hear
don't
it.
need your financials straightened out. It's just, I feel their pain about how frustrating it is. Like, how do you get a handle on this? It's just so challenging. And where do you go to learn? Um, and so, yes, my favorite solution. Well, first of all, just a simple thing. So you got a tax return.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have a business model template on my website. You can take your tax return, you can pull off 6 numbers, you can dump it in there. You can get on a call with me, and you can get a lot of really powerful information out of those. The spreadsheet does some calculations. the input is 6 numbers. You track down those 6 numbers off your tax return from last year, and boom, you've got it.
It's
And so
amazing.
that's one thing. It's just a very, very simple income statement. And even if your financials, don't have a tax return, you could find that information somewhere.
Your
So,
bank
but
accounts.
yeah. So there's some percentages that you need to know,
Mhm.
but my favorite thing to do is to get into, a lot of people call them key performance indicators. So that's a
Yeah,
lot. So
KPIs. Yeah.
yeah, so I just use the term metrics. It's a lot less syllables. You know what
I
it
like
is.
that.
So
Metrics. Okay.
metrics are in, and so metrics can be daily, weekly, monthly, and annually or quarterly. And so like financial statements tend to be, well, no sooner than monthly, right? And we already talked about monthly. The thing about monthly is, in most instances of really trying to drive a business, as
Mhm.
far versus just looking at history, what your
Right.
performance is historically, it's too late.
Mhm.
Like the 15th of the next month, when you reconcile your bank statement, is too late. You can use that. There's some use for that information. But what's absolutely killer is the weekly metrics.
Mhm.
So that's what Travis and I did. We were tracking his sales, his backlog, his production. One of the first things that we focused on, and again, we used the business model. We took his financials um, from the previous year's financials that were tied to the tax return.
Right.
And so we knew some numbers, and right out of the gate, we knew their profit that previous year was 120,000. And we showed like immediately that they could double that with one solution. And they did it. So they had been putting out about $40,000 a week in sheds. Okay. They
Mhm.
had the sales, they had the sales, but they weren't getting the workout. And so their scheduling board was the size of a desk calendar, the one they had desk calendars.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a desk calendar in a couple of years, but it was not very big. So the first thing we did is we bought the biggest whiteboard that we could find at Staples and put it up on the wall and started scheduling more intentionally. And then so when they did that, they discovered what was holding things up in the process. And so the result was, the short answer is, they went from, within 2 weeks, they went from 40,000 a week to $60,000 a week. It's by
Wow.
using that scheduling board and being more intentional and working together as a team. And then they put together an incentive plan, and the guys from the shop were standing, they put the scheduling board in the shop, and the
Mhm.
guys in the shop were standing at the board trying to figure out how they could get more work done.
They want to
Whereas
win.
before, yeah, so before, if like 5 o'clock came and they were tired and sweaty and wanted to go home, they would just come back. We'll just come back tomorrow and finish it tomorrow.
Mhm.
So now everybody's fired up, and now if they're there, they want to get it done.
I
So
love
it
it.
just completely changed everything.
I love that you're able to share these stories of your clients that you're able to help transform. I mean, going to, you said 40,000 a week to 60. That's phenomenal. And so how does that reflect in his profit margins and actually the money that he gets to keep in his business? Because, sometimes entrepreneurs and business owners look at the numbers coming in and they think, oh, that's my money. And we know that there's OpEx, there's operations, there's, that isn't all your money. So how did that translate in that amount of growth for what you perceive the profit of the company to be?
It doubled. It doubled the first year.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was not. I mean, they had some other setbacks too. So it wasn't all good. Travis inherited a lot of baggage.
Mm-hmm.
Things that they're trying to sort out. And so, yeah, we did an analysis in it, that solid double
Mm-hmm.
in their position right now, where so their sales were a little over 2 million in 2019, and they're on pace for easy 4 million.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for helping people like that in the world and bringing your genius, because you could have easily kept your genius to yourself. And I love that you've created this way of helping business owners and entrepreneurs find that breath. I mean, that's what we want. We want to have freedom in our business, and it does take cash flow. It does take understanding our numbers. You mentioned if people go to your website, and so that's jimadamsconsulting.com, correct?
Right.
And what will they find at jimadamsconsulting.com?
Okay, so there, first of all, there's lots of free content there. There's blog posts. You can go there and download a very simple business model template.
Mm-hmm.
There is a inexpensive suite available for $97 that you can also get a break-even tool
Mm-hmm.
and a sales trend analysis tool. These are two tools that I use usually like day 3 or 4 with a client.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then that $97 includes a free 30-minute coaching call to help you implement some of those things.
Oh my God, that's
And
awesome.
so
$97
it,
resources and a 30-minute coaching call with Jim.
yeah,
Well,
it's
I'm
crazy. That's not
signing
going
up.
to last long. I'm not going to do that for long, but I wanted to offer that to your people here today. Um, and I do really would like to be able to help more people as they get ready to go into 2021.
Yeah.
Would just really love to be able to chat with a few folks and help them get these really simple, powerful tools in place.
And we need them. I don't know if you ever had these places in your business. I know I have, where we stay up at night or we wake up in the middle of the night and the numbers are haunting us, or the lack of cash flow is haunting us, or they're trying to figure things out and doing it from this perspective and this angle, and just feeling overwhelmed, right? And so if you could give some level of advice, some, words of advice to those people that may be in that place where the anxiety and I've got to figure it out on my own mentality of a business owner is more prevalent than the asking for help and opening up and saying, this is the truth of my business. As we do when we work with somebody, we need to be very truthful of where things are. Numbers don't lie. And so what advice could you give to the people listening going, okay, I know I need to ask for help. Help me do it in a energetic way.
Well, first of all, I have absolutely been there, right? When you're running your own business, you can't see the forest through the trees. It's just very common. And so it's everyone. So one is you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will tell you that when I reached out, there's two things that I did late late 2019 that absolutely turned things around. One is I completely upped my game who I was hanging around with. Okay. I started reaching out to one more. I started reaching out for help myself. I myself actually had a very difficult time asking for help when I was with the consulting company. I had a whole crew of people in Chicago that I could ask for help, that were just like way smarter than I was, or in their own way.
Right.
And I rarely ever, took advantage of that. And so in 2019 that changed, and that leaded up to me meeting you, and then several other people you and I know, and a lot of other people that have just, I mean, I could just go on and on. I won't, but there's like 6, 7 people that I met that has just been game changers.
Yeah, we need to hang around with what we say the Eagles, right?
Right.
Not the rock
Exactly.
band, although they're
Exactly.
really cool too. But we need to fly. If we want to fly, we need to soar with other eagles.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, I remember, just being around here and sometimes, and you have to, and so I went national, like I reached out nationally. I mean, I'm sure there's some
Good
people here in
job.
my community, but, so that's what I did. So
They
just
say you can't
developing a
be
professional.
you can't be a prof in your own hometown. I've had that place.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
I'm
that's it.
I'm in Houston, and yeah, there's some people here that realize, hey, go to Tina Marie. She can definitely help you. But other people are like, I know her. She's like a local. But whenever other people come into the community, they're like, oh, it's like some kind of guru just walked in. So I know that the profit in your own hometown really fits. I don't know
Mhm.
why, but it is. Okay, so increase your circle. What other advice do you have?
Yeah. So definitely develop a professional network. And I don't mean, where you're going to a meeting and swapping business cards. I mean,
Right.
other high level people that can help you. Like maybe one person, like in our group, I'm the numbers and AdWords guy.
Mhm.
We've got somebody else that, all these different people. So, the other guy's like really high on mindset, your areas. I mean, you cover a lot of different areas, but anyway, it's
And
just
we
been
have a
so
lady that
beneficial.
does the part-time help and understanding how to find the right resources for your team. And yeah, we've got a great group of people.
Yeah. And so there's kind of two parts to the second thing. One um, is I started getting up early in the morning. I mean, everybody does it their own way, but
Mhm.
you need to have time to think and reflect and just be quiet and just
Mhm.
listen. So I would get up at 5, I would read my devotionals, and I would just sit there and just be quiet and then wait and listen.
Mm.
And then the thoughts would come. And that to me just really upped my game a lot, that answers started coming. The second thing I want to say about that, that's kind of on the same subject,
Mm-hmm.
um, you recently turned me on to this thing called Pomodoro, about taking 25-minute sessions and setting a timer and focusing on one thing.
Yes.
And so, looking back, when that makes such a difference. And I've been more intentional about it since you really shared that specific thing with me last week.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely huge. But one of the things, that I discovered when I looked at that is something that I have absolutely applied over and over and over and over again. It is so key. So it's a quote. I won't get the quote 100% right, but
Mm-hmm.
Einstein said something to the effect that if he had an hour to solve a problem,
Mm-hmm.
he would spend 55 minutes focused on the problem and 5 minutes on the solution.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we do is we go from this to this to this to this to this, and we do all this stuff in all these different areas and hoping that something makes a difference. And I mean, there is room for, trying a lot of things. There's not saying that's completely wrong, but if you stop and take the time to think. And so my practice has very much been built around understanding what all of the problems are.
Right.
Um, because I realized recently, like I was meeting with this other business owner locally, and I asked him, what's your biggest problem?
Mm.
And 45 minutes later, like we still weren't any closer. And so the bottom line was like, he really had no idea. And that's just the way
True.
it is, isn't it?
It is. It
Like,
is. We think it's one problem here, and then it's another problem the next 5 minutes. And we need to really, and that's a beautiful, perspective. We need to hone in on what is the one, and there will be, biggest challenge within yourself or your business or how processes, operations, people maybe working. And once we can bring remedy to that, it has a flow effect into the rest of things. And I'm so glad you have that consulting background, because that gives so much breadth of experience toward everything you bring to your clients. And so I am going to take an invitation for everybody to go to jimadamsconsulting.com. And now I want to ask you some personal questions. Can I?
all right.
Oh, right.
Sounds good.
So we did here around the office. People got to read your bio. I printed out your bio, your one sheet, and it got picked up by my assistant, and she just read it and just became your biggest fan. And she's like, "Can you ask Jim some questions?" And she was bragging about you to the rest of the team here, and so everybody cannot wait to get to know these answers. So part of where you are in the freedom as a business owner in your lifestyle is that you and your beloved wife get to go on the road many times a year and travel. And so this is Michelle's question. What was the catalyst that made you want to live on the road with your wife?
Well, for one thing, we like to buy nice stuff. So we had an RV.
Mm-hmm.
And we went on a trip. It was a Class C RV. That's like the big van
Mm-hmm.
RV. And so we went on a photo tour up in the north. And so we were on the road for like 4 or 5 weeks, taking photos, working in the RV, but we just didn't feel like we really had enough space.
Mm-hmm.
So I got this idea in my head to that I wanted to go actually call on contractors in Northern Virginia. And so basically we justified buying like $200,000 RV to say, oh, we'll use it for business. So honestly, like
Yeah.
whether that was a good decision or not, remains
Yeah.
to be seen, but that was the decision that we made. So we enjoy it. This was Cara's choice.
Mm-hmm.
So, we looked at some different, some different type RVs. And when she saw this one that had an office in it, like she wanted that for me. She wanted me to have my own
Oh,
office. They're kind of rare, actually. They're hard to find.
I've never seen one. So is it like an office? Because I'm also in the market for buying an RV or a trailer that, third, fifth wheel, right? And so it has an office. Is it next to the bedroom in the back? Like, give us a visual there.
No, it's right there next to the main living area. It's got it's glass. It's like a big fishbowl. It has like a
Cool.
fully finished desk and cabinets in it. It's got a slide out to, open up the space. I've got a regular office chair in there. It's actually very comfortable
Whoa.
working space. And then it gives us a little bit of room and separation, because in the other RV, we were like sitting across the table from one another, and there, one, there wasn't much space, and two, it's hard to work, because, we would keep interrupting each other, and, I'm talking on the phone and she's, doing her thing.
Yeah.
And so,
And so you have your own office in your RV. And where do you go with this beautiful machine or toy? We're going to call it a toy. Where do you go with it?
well, we went, this time last September, it was not this past September, but a year ago, we spent 2 weeks in Virginia, visiting, Travis and his grandfather that owns the shed company. And so we worked out of the RV there. We visited with them. I would go there, like 3 days a week to the shed company, and then 2 days a week I'd work on my pavilion business. And so we just
Wow.
stayed there for 2 weeks, and then, had dinner at their house on the weekend. And we had the dogs with us. That's another big part of the equation, is that, you got two big dogs. I think our dogs actually like the kennel, but, we like having them with us. So it was a way for us to travel and work, and then have, one of them's a full blood German Shepherd, and the other one's a half German Shepherd, and they're quite boisterous. And so we get to take them on the road with us. That not too many hotels would want to have two 85-pound dogs in
True.
their hotel.
Wow. I love the vision of your lifestyle, just being able to go and work from an RV and keep the businesses going with such style. And it sounds like it's right up the alley for your wife as well. That's amazing. It's amazing. And so the next question is, tell us about the obstacle courses. What obstacle courses? And the person who asked the question, Larry's like, okay, we get to a certain age in our life where we do not want to break and hurt things. So what in Jim's psyche has him say, I want to do obstacle courses, scary, muddy obstacle courses?
Well, I'm actually evaluating what Larry said right now, honestly. So, because it is a little crazy. And the last one I did get beat up a little bit. Didn't get really hurt really bad, but I
Mhm.
was in pain for a couple months. So anyway, I mean, just going way back to when I was getting ready to join the Army. I mean, I remember, I don't know, do you remember the movie Stripes with Bill Murray and
I do. That was hilarious. Yes.
yeah. So I remember watching that movie thinking, man, there is no way in hell I would ever want to join the Army. And then, like a year later, my girlfriend broke up with me. I was just absolutely devastated, a big puddle of goo. And so I ended up, like, in the span of 1 week, signing up for everything, like ROTC, Virginia Tech Corps of Cadets, the National Guard. And so a couple years later, well, anyway, so that summer I spent the summer at Fort Benning.
Mm,
And, the first couple of
right.
weeks are kind of intense. But I mean, college was a tough experience for me. It was just really a lot of pressure at that age and everything. And this was like a vacation. It was physical. I got to play with lots of stuff that was really loud and made loud noises, which I love that. And
Yes.
I remember they had two different things. They had the obstacle course, and then they had the confidence course. The confidence course was more about climbing really high things,
Oh,
which I love. And then the obstacle course was going through swamps and mud and barbed wire and jumping on things and things like that. So
mhm.
I got pretty out of shape in my 50s. And so back a few years ago, I started doing high intensity interval training. Um, People know of Orange Theory Fitness. This was like a knockoff of that. And I lost a bunch of weight and
Mm,
was getting in pretty good shape. And so I got it in my head. I wanted to do an obstacle course race. And I finished my first one. Now, the one that I chose to do is Spartan. And one of the unique things about Spartan is that if you don't do an obstacle, you have to pay a penalty. You don't just get to just keep going. You have to do 30 burpees, which, if you've ever done 30 burpees, that's a lot of burpees.
that's
So
a lot of burpees. Oh my
so that
God.
that first race I did, it took me about 2.5 hours.
Hmm.
And it was very, very muddy, which I loved. It wore me out. I didn't get to the top of I almost got to the top of the rope, not quite. I was like 220 pounds. So
Mm.
that's saying a lot. And I almost got to the top of the rope and slid down.
Oh.
Um, and what was the one other thing I wanted to say about that? So anyway, I know what it was. I did 120 burpees on top of that like 4-mile race with 23 obstacles.
Man, high
So
five, dude. Woo.
took a long hot bath after that, but I completed it.
And is this still in your desire and want? Are you going to do more?
I have one scheduled for the spring, but with COVID, I'm not really wanting to take any chances. I'd say I'll probably not do that
Mhm.
until after the case rate goes way down.
Yeah.
Um, and then we'll see. I'm doing CrossFit right now, which is,
Whoa, that's hard.
stressful enough.
I
Yeah.
love it. And
Yeah.
I love that you have found this part of yourself that it's saying, don't say die and, I've got it in me and go for the glory, right? It's awesome. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I found that there's definitely a connection between our physical, mental, emotional aptitudes and belief in ourselves and the success and perseverance that we will find in our businesses. Could you also, agree with that? How's that been for you? The marriage of our physical, mental with our money.
Yeah. So absolutely. I mean, I was actually, what brought me to working out was my back started seizing up. I had been so sedentary for a number of years. Yeah, I was really in a lot of pain. So I got to the point where like I literally had to do something.
Mm,
And it was either go to the doctor, which I'd already heard that route. I did not want to
yeah.
do that. If I could help it. It wasn't an injury. It was just not taking care of myself. And a few months later, that back pain was pretty much gone. So obviously I'm able to function a lot better. And so, with COVID, I backed off and I definitely noticed, I'm definitely, um, I missed I
Yep.
missed that, the endorphins and all of that. Maybe I'm a little crankier, but, yeah, it's um, definitely adds energy
There's an
to
impact.
get like that really good sweat on, whether it's, I used to do these workouts on Saturday that were an hour and a half and my heart rate, I'll be 60 in December. My heart rate will average about 150 for an hour and a half,
Whoa.
up and down between 180 and
Yeah.
140
It's
for an hour and a
amazing.
half. I don't think I could do that right now, but
You'll get back there. I know it. So yeah, I've heard this quote that we either are going to come out of a pandemic with a prison body or a pot belly. I'm going for the
that's
prison
funny.
body. How about you?
I need to get back to it. I went last night. And so, I
Good
went
for
last
you.
night and I got to get ready to get moving again.
Good job. I have found that the more we pay attention to our own health and well-being, the money flow absolutely comes into our business like magic. It's like this total connection that is unseen but definitely known. So thank you so much for spending this time together with us today. And I can't wait to see how many people are going to reach out and find that courage inside themselves and say, yes, I need to look at my numbers. Yes, it's scary. Yes, I don't know where to start. However, this is how you're going to do it. You're going to start by going to jimadamsconsulting.com and downloading the wonderful gifts that he has created for you to understand your numbers and not be so scared by them. And then, Jim, you've said this 30-minute consulting with them, and that's not going to last forever. I agree, that you're worth so much. And so let's start. Let's own our businesses. Let's really get our numbers going. Let's have fun with this and aliveness with this and get our head out of the sand. So thank you so much for being our guest today. It's been amazing. And I could talk to you all day long, every day. Wish you a wonderful rest of the day you have there, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely enjoyed it, Tina. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.